So today went exactly as my attorney, stated it was going to go. We expected to have this happen in Judge Blanton's court, but as soon as Katie Proudfoot got on the stand and started talking, what had happened is the judge stopped at the proceedings as soon as he asked about the contact. Like, she started saying everybody was contacting her, but it wasn't me. But as soon as she started saying something about contact and these anonymous people, so he stopped the proceedings and basically said he was willing to recuse himself and explained to them that apparently this judge, which I have no doubt who's the responsible parties of this.
He still didn't look like a happy camper. He's no bullshit. He ain't taking no shit.
Could she have more charges coming today then, I wonder?
Hell, I don't know. I don't think they could. Because at that point, let's see, KP was beginning to be asked the questions and stuff. And it was stopped.
Well, why else would he recuse himself if he wasn't going to file something or he couldn't be on there for something? I would think he would just go on.
That has me. I'm stumped.
Wasn't Katie?
Well, because
Katie
first
was
of all,
on the
there's been
stand,
threats
wasn't she?
made to him. When there's threats made in a case, the judge has to recuse himself, especially if there's something else going on. Especially when threats are made to him or his children or grandchildren. His family.
Yeah.
So no, he cannot
yeah.
legally cannot be involved in a case where threats have been made to him.
And the court.
Judges are trained to not show personal feelings on the bench.
Well,
So when that threat was made, then he has to recuse himself because he's like personally involved now.
Yes, now he is personally involved. Yes.
Yeah, because then she can't come back and say, "Oh, he had something against me."
But how dare, people are really freaking brazen, and whoever did that, I just want to let you know that he talked about it being under criminal investigation. You cannot threaten a freaking judge. Whatever idiot did that is a stupid bonehead. You could go into jail for a really, really long time. You do not threaten judges, just like you do not threaten law enforcement or FBI. So, like I said, we know who threatens people. We know it's not coming from our camp, and it will never come from our camp. Only one camp has been threatening bodily harm to me, as well as all the other people involved. So the judge, explained the thresholds that are needed, and probable cause being the absolute lowest legal threshold. And that she did find probable cause to move it over to the grand jury. I'm not really worried about it. I'm not worried about any of this, to be honest with you, because it's just getting us one step closer to appeals. And that's, you guys know, that's where I want to be. I want this whole entire case removed from Sumner County, removed from their ability to rule over it. And that's just where I stand on that front, and I'm not going to change my stance. If I'm not going to get a fair shake in this county because of, this environment where everybody knows everybody, and I'm an outsider and they're an insider, and this is just how things are done here, that's not good enough for Bullhorn Betty. It's not good enough for their community. It's not good enough for people that visit from outside communities to the community, because they will always be on the losing end because they're outsiders, right? Especially if they have a problem with an insider. So the long story is they tried me yet again before a judge, tell them I can't talk about them. The judge would not allow that to go forward. I'm going to continue to cover a national interest case. I really don't care if the prosecutor doesn't believe I have rights as freedom of press, which, again, there is no threshold for that. Anybody is allowed to be press. That's the whole purpose of freedom of press. It's the whole purpose of that entire section of our Bill of Rights. But long story short is I knew we were going to be held over. I really wasn't concerned about it. I was hopeful. You know, obviously you're always hopeful that things will be different or they do the right thing and drop this nonsense, because we're going to be able to prove hashtags make no contact. And not only that, I never created the hashtags. The hashtags were created a long time before Bullhorn Betty ever got involved in this case. This boy disappeared on February 26th. My very first video was posted on this case where he was featured, I believe, on March 16th, like 2 or 3 weeks after this case. And they can't say I was harassing them then, because to be honest with you, I didn't know what to make of this case until we started diving into it, until we started listening to them and being able to see the inconsistencies in their statement. So that's just kind of how it is. But at the end of the day, the appellate courts are going to even review to find out whether these OPs are even valid, because again, I was required to have 5 days to appear. They gave me 48 hours to appear. That's a clear violation of the statute. So know that at least one of them, and I don't even care if they rule against me in this way, because in the appellate court over the OPs, I am very confident that the appeals court will side with me on this matter, and those will be null and void anyway. So this is just a way to spend money, waste money, whatever. But we'll keep raising money, we'll keep paying for these attorneys, and we'll keep fighting, because at the end of the day, there's nothing I'm going to keep doing my job. They're trying to put me out of business when they want to talk about, oh my gosh, they just need to leave kids alone. How do you expect people to advocate for kids? Oh, you just want us to say what you want us to hear, and want us to speak what you want us to speak. The government wants us to speak and all this. Where's the freedom in press when you got a government telling you what you can and cannot cover, what you can and cannot say? So I'm going to continue to fight this fight. It's important not only to content creators around this country, but it's very, very important to me, because these people lied under oath. And if they're going to keep arresting me for saying that they lied under oath, well, I guess they're going to end up burying me under the jail, because at the end of the day, this is America, and I have a right to speak. I have a right to speak. I have a right to my opinion. My opinion is that these people did something to their child. I think the evidence supports something happened to this child between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. I have a right to deduct reasonably that there was only one person in the house. This is all statements that they've made publicly and on public platforms. Again, I'm not worried about the threats, the veiled threats of their attorneys or them about shutting me up. Clearly, they have had 2 bites at the apple. Both judges have said no. Totality, outside of posting the flyers up and down that road, which took me 2 hours, but in total filming, 20 or 30 minutes, and I was everywhere else. So again, I'm not really worried about what these Sumner County judges are going to do. I'm just not. There is a higher court for these specific reasons, and I'm going to be leaning on those higher courts. Well, unless we come back here and the grand jury doesn't indict me, or we come back here and I go to trial, and I'm never going to sign that I violated or did any crimes, because I didn't. I didn't even get a speeding ticket while I was in this county, and I don't even stay in this county. I will not stay in this county. This county is preventing me from moving freely throughout the United States of America, and that's something that I would propose that is a problem. It is a problem. Never mind the anxiety, the PTSD. There's a whole host of situations that no American citizen should ever have to face in their own country. And I think that that's the bigger picture. That something like this in our country could happen. But as courts work through it, maybe people that don't understand how hashtags work, I think that's going to be an issue. But they were never directly or indirectly notified. I can't control the world. I can't stop people that I don't know from calling them or reaching out to them. It has nothing to do with me. And clearly the threats had nothing to do with me, because I've never threatened them, and all the other threats that they were saying they had happened long before I was even involved in this case. We've got literally 4 different interviews before I ever even started talking about this case where they're citing the exact same things from other people. Yet they're not they didn't get protective orders against them, even though they drove around their house. They flew drones over their house. They spoke negatively about them. Good gracious, how are they gonna say I'm harassing them by using their own words? And they keep saying harassing. Me coming on my channel and talking crap about 2 pieces of shit, I don't think quite constitutes harassment. I mean, I'd have to harass them. Talking on my own channel that they have to come to watch, I'm not sure if that's really the definition of harassment. I'm sorry. So we'll get through all those technical things. This is no more than a BS affidavit. I've went through this stuff before where, yeah, they had probable cause for the arrest, but once you go to court, it's kind of funny how easy things start getting dismissed because they don't have evidence to support that probable cause that they put in those affidavits. So we'll just have to get down to the brass tacks of things, and once we get down to the brass tacks of things, we'll get it together. But like I said, I anticipate this, and I told you guys this back on August 22nd. And August 22nd, they tried to gag me then they tried to have me arrested, which they were successful. Now they're trying to gag me again, which they're unsuccessful. And then they tried to gag me again, they're unsuccessful. Gag orders are unconstitutional in this country for a reason. Period. So there's a reason for it, because people are entitled to their speech. And the videos that they produced, not one threat outside of saying I'm going to sue them. Not one threat of bodily injury, not one threat, not violent threats, not coming. I wasn't even in town. I was here for 3 days. And I've been talking about this case for a solid year. And they said, oh my gosh, she makes a couple videos a day. So does everybody else. And I think we can put that on the stand. Everybody else does the same thing, right? Even their crew, every single day, tagging Sebastian Rogers. Chris Proudfoot comes up and talks to us. So there we have it. I don't really care anymore. These people are the most insane people I have ever seen. This county is the most insane county I've ever seen. This is bad. So we had the opportunity for them to do the right thing. We'll see if the next court, but it doesn't matter. We already know where we're going to end up going if they want to sit and screw around. So we're one step closer. That's the positive thing of all this. We're one step closer to the appellate courts, and that's, like I told you from the very, very beginning. If this is a corrupt county, and I said if this is a corrupt county, then the one thing they don't have is the appellate or the Supreme Court. They keep it in-house because they don't like anybody knowing. So once it's pulled out of here, then we'll get to where we need to be. So we'll see how this progresses. Again, not worried. Knew that this was going to be the outcome before I even walked into the court. Why? Because my attorney told me so. So far, my attorneys have advised me accurately, correctly, and have a game plan.